Hello and welcome back to another edition of Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. I'm Mike Dragonetti from Dragon Rescue Management. In this segment, we're going to talk about securing the car mechanically. Sometimes killing the power is just not enough. Just putting a lockout tagout kit on a mainline disconnect, there's still a possibility that a cable traction elevator can still move on us. Back in 2007, I was involved with a catastrophic event where cables failed, and ultimately the elevator ended up in the pit. So from that moment, I knew that we had to put something in place so a car cannot duplicate that action again. All right, so if you get a chance, I wrote an article for Fire Engineering magazine. It's in the December issue of 2007. It describes the incident that humbled me to like nobody's business. But right now, let's take a look at the tools that we're going to use to put into play. All right, so what we have here is a set of rail blocks. Rail blocks are used in the elevator industry to secure an elevator where we have to take tension off of the elevator cables. So the intention of these rail blocks is they can be positioned anywhere in the elevator shaft as long as we have access to the rails. In this particular setup, what we're going to do is use a single rail block first and prevent the elevator's movement in the up direction. That's the first part of this sequence. Because the counterweight being heavier, there's always a chance that the elevator will move up before it moves down. The second setup here is a second rail block that we're going to have that we're going to put above the first one. This has a piece of tubular webbing that's attached to it, and then the third part of this sequence is going to be this pork chop or the wire rope grab. This is going to be attached to the governor cable, so when we lock this up in place, any kind of movement in a down direction, this pork chop is going to grab the governor cable and put the car on safety. All right, so the first move is going to be our edge guy, Billy. He's going to hand out the first block. Right? Jimmy's going to take that off. And anytime you hand something out, always make sure that the person you're handing it to has a good grasp on it. We don't want to lose it down the elevator shaft. And Jimmy's first move is to take that rail block and just kind of slide it down so it makes contact with the roller guides that are on top of the elevator. And then he's going to lock it off. Hand tighten the screws first. Our edge guy, Billy's going to hand out the torque wrench. And then at this point, Jimmy's going to torque that rail block down to 70 foot-pounds. These blocks are required to be set at 70 foot-pounds. You should definitely use a torque wrench on rail blocks. All right, he's going to hand his ratchet out so he doesn't lose it down the elevator shaft. And the second move is going to be Billy's going to hand out the second portion of this. So the second rail block and the pork chop and the webbing are being handed out. We know that the car can't move up because of that first rail block that's in place. And Jimmy's just going to slide that up and always insert that rail block with the shackle down. And he's going to hand tighten them. And once it's hand tight, he's going to take his torque wrench and finish the job on those bolts. Again, set it to 70 foot-pounds. All right, so once the block is locked and loaded, he's now going to take his pork chop. He's going to open up the gate. He's going to insert the cable that's closest to the rail. That's the hitch point cable. And then, obviously, that pork chop is only going to work in one direction. He's just going to let it go, and it's going to slide down and just take tension on that cable. Now, be careful not to pull up on that cable because we don't want to accidentally set the safety and cause another problem for the elevator mechanic. But we just want to prevent any kind of downward movement. So if you look at the final setup, you'll see that the car cannot possibly move in the up direction because of that first block, which is acting like a wheel chock. And then the second block, again, is arresting that the governor cable. And if there's any downward movement, the car may move a couple of inches, but it's going to set that car right onto safety. All right, so just points to ponder. You want to put this in place anytime the car is overloaded, when any doubt exists, or anytime we enter the elevator shaft. All right, and thank you for watching Training Minutes. I'm Mike Dragonetti. Work smart, work safe, train safe.